My name is Pati Hernandez, and I have a program called Telling My Story, which is an interdisciplinary arts program that works on the development of self-awareness and communication skills through the arts. And then a lot of things happens. I've been working with inmates for 10 years, and I started teaching at Dartmouth with IB 4 years ago. When we got the students involved, the program got significantly better because there is a much more real social challenge for the inmates. So what you're going to do now is to write a list of words. Words to me are really interesting, provocative, and important. So we do some writing exercises, 4 positive words and 4 negative, and those are your branches. And then we talk about it. So those are themes that people eventually develop into the final performance. At this point, it's about coming together between unlike groups.
Mm-hmm. I was really interested in reading about the program you have with the students from Dartmouth College and the women that are incarcerated. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? And we can get into the film, It's Criminal, as well.
Sure. Yeah. So, telling my story, one of the branches of telling my story is this course I teach at Dartmouth College called Telling Stories for Social Change. And basically the idea is to bring inmates and students to collaborate. I strongly believe in doing and sort of getting to know others through doing, and the idea, the experience of just being in a room with somebody that I actually stigmatize or have seen with a different lens all my life, right? It's quite wonderful. It's a really worthwhile effort, I think, because it's when you can really see our humanity, like how we kind of beautifully melt to what we really are instead of all those walls that we build in order to survive our reality.
I didn't realize how close we were to the women until we performed the shows. Most of them are in there for drugs and for non-violent crimes. It's like, why not help these people? Why are we throwing them away?
Open up, it's the police! Window! Open up! Coming in! You're under arrest for the possession of cocaine, Joe Schmo.
This class has made me truly reconsider who I am as a person and what I believe is wrong with society. And it has been the most confusing experience of my life. I have had to ask myself over and over, am I a selfish person? And not so surprisingly, I have found that the answer is yes.
Broken, hurt, low, down, and out, lost. Those are words that would have described me a few months ago. Strong, humble, willing, able, happy, bright, and ready for anything. That's who I am right now. Guilty, 3 to 7.
Next on the docket, Pete versus Lindsay Lopan. Possession of cocaine, second offense.
Well, I'm gonna give you a $1,000 fine, suspended on 2 days good behavior, and just give me your autograph. Please approach the bench.
And so I know you have a background in dance and theater. And how did that evolve into this work that you're doing?
Yeah, oh, wow, that's a good question. It's, well, part of it is, so I worked for many years with the bread and puppet, and I am what we call an old puppeteer, bread and puppeteer. And it's really, my whole life I was interested in dance and theater since I left Chile, pretty much. And I actually I'm very physical to communicate. I just need to kind of move, and words are not enough for me. And theater has such a wonderful platform, very, very free platform to try. And it's an ensemble work. So it just all gives a really nice package to try, right, all together. In the context of the student the collaboration in the class, what is wonderful is that most of my students and most of inmates don't have an experience with theater or dance, period. So that it's already an equalizer platform. That's really wonderful. That's a good place to start. So it's a lot, we worked a lot on what I call neutralizing a platform from social structures, power structures, economical structure, whatever. Institutional structures, right? Like where are we within the institution itself? We can go out, right? Inmates can't go out, and just that whole reality. And it's just very good to see how the idea of doing something in where none of us have really a grip on it, a tight grip on it, then so we're all in the same boat.
That's quite something when you think of the difference in privilege between the Dartmouth College students and the women who are in jail. Mm-hmm. And what I was really interested in when I was looking at the film, It's Criminal, and also when we were talking before, was the difference in punishment from social classes. If a Dartmouth College student gets busted for drug possession,
I have a hard time accepting the fact that I'm here for sophomore summer and it's like the best time of your life, apparently. It's just crazy to think that these women are having the worst times of their life right now. People here do illegal drugs, and why is it fair that they're just locked up like that?
3 Dartmouth students face cocaine and witness tampering charges. Police say it's likely more members will face criminal charges. Dartmouth College.
A 4th Dartmouth student faces charges in connection with a cocaine bust. Hanover police last week arrested 3 brothers at Sigma Alpha Epsilon after reports that cocaine was being used in a common room.
The whole campus was absolutely buzzing about it. But at the same time, everyone was like, obviously nothing's going to happen. And obviously nothing did happen.
It was just in the paper how the Dartmouth students with like the cocaine just like got off. And that was very disturbing.
Actually, for the Dartmouth students, the judge took the word cocaine out of the sentence.
Yeah.
So that
it's going to be taken off their records.
And it's going to be so it's going to be taken off their records. And it was reduced from felony to a misdemeanor. It's like a parking ticket.
Yeah.
Well, it's a very strong eye opener, right? And reality check. Is because the students, all these higher education institutions have bubbles, right? Are social bubbles, and I'm not saying it's not good or bad. They just exist. But in order for them to be more effective socially, we should be more aware. We should be willing to be aware, and we should acknowledge the social realities, because that's the only way that we can really see what's happening. And we can really stand by something that we really believe in. Otherwise, we just sort of doing the walk without much conscience. And that's, so a part of it is about that. So for the students, it was really shocking, like painfully shocking to see how, because they were experiencing that at the moment, right? Mm-hmm. To really see this is injustice, this is inequality, this is not fair, but really have the proof. I mean, I know these people, right, that did it or that are they're being spanked, sort of little spank versus years of incarceration. I understand that. It was very disappointing for the students. Very, very disappointing. It's a very painful process. It really is. It's exciting, and it's motivating and it's hopeful. But the process, but all of that, you can talk about it at the very end. But during the process, it's painful.
So was there a lot of, was some of the tension between the two groups? I mean, I would think that between those two groups that the women who are incarcerated and who are experiencing firsthand the effects of racism and the kind of drug policies that we have, some incarcerated just because they couldn't make bail.
Absolutely.
Get out while they're waiting trial. They're not even convicted of anything. And then the Dartmouth College kids are very privileged.
What if I would have taken it to trial? Maybe I could have been found not guilty. But I had no bail, so I'd be sitting in jail. You could wait for your trial for years. Who wants to wait for a trial for years when you could plead guilty and be out maybe a year before then? I can guarantee you 99% of the people that are in this jail aren't in here because they were found guilty, but because they pled guilty. No money, no privilege, you're going to jail.
Some of it, I think, is because they see potential in these Dartmouth students, and they think they're going to be our next politicians or scientists, and they won't be able to be as productive in society with something bad like that on their record.
You want bread?
When somebody who's just a single mom who works as a waitress every day, if they've got a felony possession of cocaine, who cares? We might get angry about it, but maybe society is okay with it. Maybe they are like, yeah, well, this person just made a mistake, but they're doing something with their lives. This person just works at Burger King, so they're not really doing anything with their life. Who cares what happens to them? We're replaceable, maybe.
So what was that dynamic? Was that a big part of the dynamic between them?
It's always part of the dynamic. It's a stigma, right? It's a social stigma that we all have and bring also. And that's our own responsibility. So the students look at inmates and they're criminals, right? And they did something wrong, and they judge a lot, and they think they know better. But it also they feel that way because that's what they've been taught. That's exactly what we all teach them, right? Be great, be careful, don't do it, don't touch it, don't. But it's just don't, without any real explanation. So people are criminals because they're criminals, right? So we are taught to look at life in that light, and that's really wrong. Very comfortable because that's how we can eliminate people, right? And so this experience brings them to approach life in a different way. And then inmates, there's a lot of resentment. It's like
very understandably,
and it's totally understandable. I always say to people, being resentful is really understandable. Not really productive. It's not conducive to anything. So let's see how we can turn that resentment into energy for agency, which is a completely different approach. But resentment, and they're stuck up, rich people, they're totally spoiled, they're entitled, and actually we are, there is some truth in all what people are saying in the idea of a stigma. There is some truth to it, but it's not something that you have to commit with, or you have to live for, or you have to turn it into a flag, a belief. That's what it's dangerous. It's like you can see things and you can evaluate them, But you shouldn't believe that you are always right, or that you know what you're saying, what you're doing, what you believe, because it's not enough. Humbleness is really important, and we're taught that we know.
Well, and we're also, there's so much fear at the root of a lot of that otherness and the stigma.
Right.
Making a whole group of other people someone that you're afraid of.
Right.
And then we want to get control of that because we don't want to feel afraid. Right. So then what do? We make up beliefs that we know all about that, or, you know, we stigmatize, we blame the person for what their situation is.
Exactly.
We don't even think about the whole social context of how that happens and all of the elements, because they're wrong because I don't want to admit that I could be in that situation if I was in their situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and it takes time, right? It takes time to really get to know the situation and the person. It takes courage to do that. And that's why we're so afraid now, because we just don't practice that, period, right? And the idea of controlling, which is an illusion, because we really don't control life.
As much as we'd like to.
My goodness, right? So much energy into trying to control life. Disproportionate amount of energy. I mean, it's really, and we are wasting so much energy trying to achieve that, while life is absolutely the opposite. And we know that. So there's this anxiety, there is this emptiness, there is this sort of real, what is it? It's like you can never be satisfied, basically, right?
Yeah.
Because we're looking for control as the answer, and control is not the answer. So
control is not the answer.
So,
and to pick up on what you said a few minutes ago, we need to turn resentment, which is understandable but not productive, into energy for agency.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that it's okay that these energies are here, including fear. And then what do?
I've always said that, and this is you know, I hold Paulo Freire right next to me when and he talks about naming the world, right? And he talks about just name the world and dare to do that, because it's not an easy thing also, right? So I am always asking the students, because we're very good analyzers of life and of everything. So we're very distant and we want to be objective.
Right.
We can never be objective. Hello, how, right? So all those concepts that we are trying to achieve, when they can't be achieved. So that is an ongoing reality in the academia, in life in general. So the idea of naming the world, right, becomes really a challenge. Well, it's really pretty easy because it's right there. It's right in front of us, right? It's easy in a sense that it's accessible. It is painful because reality is not necessarily what we want or what we would like to see in our society, in people, in, you know, and especially now it's just very painful to see where we are, and it's scary. So no, I don't want to be scared. I don't want to feel, basically, right? Because it's so dark. But you know, that's where I think that's where the power is in many ways. It's like if we're capable of identifying things, of naming things, so then I can see what I want to change.
The things that I said are things that I've never even, I don't even think I ever spoke them out loud before then. The basic concepts behind, like, okay, how do we change that?
She just opened up so much to us, and for the first time in my entire life has made me realize that I am privileged.
Where do I really stand as Patti, where I would like to see the change, what I want to keep, right? What I want to let go.
Right.
Right? And there is the agency. We have that power.
So bringing this to addiction, that uncomfortableness, the fear, the not knowing what's going on, the not being able to control, it's the not being able to stay with that and move through that into agency that is the root of addiction.
Right.
If we feel we can't handle reality as it is, and we're really frustrated because we've never been able to make it conform to what we need it to be, then we're going to, one of the options is to escape.
Right.
In some way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just use a shortcut.
Right. What's your sense of you've worked with so many people, what's your sense of what it is that allows someone to come to that point where they are finally ready to actually feel into it, be present with reality as it is, and instead of escaping?
I just, I think it's tiredness.
Tiredness? Yeah.
A lot of people just say to me, I just don't want to be there anymore. I just, it's, and it's not only that, I think it's also, there's this beauty in life in where you really don't know why things happen. And that's a beautiful moment. I think there's this aha moment. There are these moments, very profound moments of realization in people where I wanna do something else, right? And there's this strength to do that, to try to do that. I mean, I think in addiction with the addicts, my experience is that, which is really sad and it's frustrating. I think they're ready. I think they want it. So many, I've lived so many moments with people of really strong and profound clarities and the desire, the true desire for change. And they can speak so clearly of it, so clearly, way better than I can ever do that. But there's nothing on the outside. So once they leave the rehab center or where is the actual support, which is crucial to give continuation to that realization and that strength and that agency. How do I use my agency? So we are individuals, but we really need all of us in order to function, to move forward. And that's our biggest problem, I think. I mean, as society, like where do we stand? Where do we stand? And that's a lot of, like the students realize the importance of empathy, the importance of compassion, the importance of being present, not in a passive, but in an active way. And what does that mean? It depends on the moment. It depends on the situation. It depends on, but, there's no one way to do things. There's no one way to respond to. No, there's not a cookie cutter answer to anything. No.
Talking about we need other people in order to even survive. Number one, we need our parents and caregivers as children. And if we don't have a reliable, safe, consistent presence of caregivers, then we don't have that trust in the social bond.
Absolutely.
And then heroin comes along. Dr. Gabor Mate calls it it's like a warm hug.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the people he works with, it's a warm hug. So we're using a drug to fulfill an emotional and social necessity.
Absolutely. And it's a shame. It's a shame. I am really tough with this. We are really mean. We have abandoned so many people on a daily basis, and it has been normalized and justified.
How many of you is an addict here? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so most of you.
I mean, that was so hard. I'm sitting there like, are you serious? You know, like part of me is like, I want to be doing that, and the other part of me is like, no, I don't want to be doing that.
Charlotte, that's a big test.
It's awful.
Because those are the tests you're going to have on the outside.
I must have changed a little bit because when she came in with all that stuff, you know, I didn't use it, you know, so that's something I've never said no to anything in my life, ever. I've never said no.
And, you know, that's very dangerous. And we should be really screaming our heads off. You know, it's like, I hope something is happening, you know. I think there is some bubbling energy around, so I'm hoping for that. But we are a very numbed society. That's what I think.
We are a very numb society. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then how can we foster that confidence that people could actually survive being present with what's going on and move into some kind of energy that will allow us to create the kind of world that we want to live in.
Right.
Nobody wants to live in this world.
Exactly.
Not that it's all bad, but there's a lot going on that is very distressing. I don't believe that people want to see the kind of stigma and isolation and shaming and all of those things that are happening.
Right.
And yet people feel so powerless.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, your process that you do with people, because they come right up against that.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do they do?
You know, it's beautiful, and I am so thankful to be able to witness this whole process every single time I run it, is to really, every single time I touch the goodness of humanity. And that's, wow, you know, that's the greatest gift that you can have. And you know, the very last week is really when everything happens there. So before there's all this tag of war that I am, one version is with the students and another version with the inmates, and sometimes it's a combination. It's a big mess. It's a real big mess. And I never tell people what is going to happen. Never, ever. I don't want to give them, it's okay, you're going to be okay. No, don't. And they know. But Patty, you're the professor. Yeah, and that's what this is what I'm asking. No, to know. To, you know, to trust yourself in your, like, really, that's agency. It's like, if I am always, this is the next step. So you need to be a good person. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does it mean to be a good person? Just be present. Trust yourself. Do your best, right? Be reasonable. Be sensible. Be sensitive. I mean, it's common sense. Come on. Figure it out. It's important that we figure it out and that we are not being told what it is or what it's not, which is what we're used to. So, you know, we are in this really tense relationship because it's so messy and because we're used to not be messy, because messiness is looked at something bad. Mm-hmm. And messiness it's great, actually, because messiness invites us. And it's not a mess for the heck of it. It's a mess. It's the freedom of the organic process that we give to an organic process. That's the idea. And it's to trust that we can all together will do the best we can. And that's what happens. So the last week, that's when they really, after fighting the whole time, what, give me an answer, and Patty's going like, I'm not going to give you an answer. I mean, it's like, because also I don't know the answers. I am very, very willing to walk with every single individual, and I meet with them individually, with all of them. And sometimes I have significantly more than one meeting with some of them. Whatever you need, I'm there. And I'm always saying, as an introduction, I say, the moment I start a program, I am on call.
Mm-hmm.
You can reach out. If you're at the correctional facility or the rehab center, you just tell the coordinator, and they have my information, they reach out. And if I can be here, I will, I will be. And with the students, it's exactly the same. So it's about presence, right? It's about attitude. And then it's about agency. Practice your agency. You have it. Trust it. Build it. And if you make mistakes, so be it. Where is mistakes? Why are we, this whole idea between control and perfection, you go like, oh my goodness, how are we going to move forward? Right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we beat ourselves. And this is not, it's not simple, and it's very painful. And that's when, between painful and emptiness and frustration and resentment and everything just gets like really tangled. Because where am I? What am I? How can I move forward? And it becomes it's a very lonely process, right? Because we all have different shades.
And this other person who I feel this connection with isn't going to have that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So then what do they do with that?
Well, again, it's a very painful process, right? And there's a lot of guilt, a lot
of guilt, yeah.
And it's this guilt that was really given to you because you don't even know why you how you got it, because you got privilege, right? At the same time, actually the students are really, they resist because it's painful. When we feel pain, right, we react. And they're very good intellectually to react. And so they argue beautifully in a very, very analytical way. So that's why I'm always asking for analysis and reflection. Put yourself in the middle of it. It's not a window, it's not a safe place. It's a participatory place in where you are and you own your actions and reactions. And you're accountable for those. That doesn't mean that it is your fault, what's happening in society. But we are participants of this social structure, and just own that. We are victim and victimizers in ways. It's a really, really fine line, and that's on a regular basis. So why do you protect yourself so much by trying to be so pure and perfect and doing the right thing? What is the right thing to do? That's why I never have answers to people, because you tell me what it is and then I'm going to learn. Thank you. That's right?
I find most people have a list in their head of what perfection is.
Oh my gosh.
And then a big list of evidence of how they're not meeting it.
And the whole idea of, I got it. So sometimes they say, Patti, I got it. And I'm going to say, really? Please tell me, because I've been 20 years and I still don't get anything. And, and we laugh. Because it's really true. It's not, I think that aha moments are really important because they produce a lot of movement, what I call internal movements and shifts in the self, right? But we're always doing that. Not something static. It's always something that keeps moving and building and doing this beautiful breathing of life, right? Versus this cages, where, okay, check the box, which is really what we teach now.
Right.
On how to achieve life. It's like, okay, you check the box. You're a good person. You are an understanding person. You're a generous person. No. I can be a real asshole. Sorry. But, I can be a real not nice person. And that's really to own also. And that's where people really step away from it, because we are so compartmentalized, right, in life. And then, oh, but I go to church. Oh, but I help people. Oh, but I do this. Oh, it's all this checking. Again, this box checking. But the attitude for life, the discipline that we need to really keep an attitude for life, that's what is important. And that's what we're little weasels with the whole reality. We're just, yeah, but maybe, that's when they are doubtful or it's muddy. No, life is muddy. Life is gray to begin with. So what is your attitude to face that muddiness? What happens when, I always tell my students, between adversity, when you face adversity and when you face discord, what is your attitude? And when you're really convinced of something, and somebody else is really opposite.
Right.
And I think that's the ultimate challenge, to an attitude that it's inclusive of everybody. What is that attitude? It depends on the situation. It depends on the moment. It doesn't mean that you're not going to speak your way and that you shouldn't express yourself and that you shouldn't, say what you need to say. But it's how you do it, the way you engage. And it's not an intellectual competition. I should not be validating, and that's, I think, a problem that we have now really strong. To validate myself, I need to put somebody else down.
Right.
That's not the way to grow. That's not the way to grow. That's a way to win the moment. And win what? What are you winning?
So from the people who are in the inmates that are in the program, from their perspective, what are you seeing in terms of after the program's over and as they kind of go back into life without this structure, this support, and this connection with other people? What kind of changes are you seeing, or what happens then?
It's sad. It's sad separation. I strongly believe in starting and finish something, the whole.
Okay.
And not the dependency of, right, let's keep going. No, this is reality. What we are experiencing is the effort we all put in believing that we can do something different. And that's the beauty of this program, right? And we are all trying, but it needs to finish because reality is something else. So we all need to go and see, where am I taking that? Again, that's agency. And it has to do with attitude. The reason why the program works is because everybody at the end buys into it. That is, and we know that. That's the bottom line, right? What do people get? And this is something that I always ask myself, and I put it out there with the inmates, and we hang out forever and ever, all our times of hanging out. Because I think this is a really, really, truly imperfect program. It's great, but it's imperfect, 100% imperfect. It doesn't give you any answer or any solutions. And that's painful because we're talking about social crisis, human crisis, and we don't have answers and solutions. We do, I think what it brings is a lot of tools, like personal tools, right? And that is great, but it's not an answer, it's not a solution, right? There's a bigger problem, basically. So I always bring this question to the inmates because we always have like this down moment. It's like, what am I? And I have this down moment that builds from this brewing into this negativity and this dark side of this sharing of pain and frustration and just all that very dark side of this sharing we do. And I'm always asking people, should I stop doing this program? I mean, what is the value of this program really? And I really like asking that because two things. One, it keeps me grounded. Mm-hmm. And because people are at the time, when we're in these dark places, people question me. I mean, people, and we are, at that, we have built a nice platform of trust, right? So we go back and forth and we fight a lot. Mm-hmm. And and it's just a very profound moment, an opportunity to really dig into what it really means to be doing this. And I think it's a really important question, basically. And people actually, they always say, it's always the same answer in a different, with different words and with different expressions, but it's like, it's better to do it than not to do it.
There's something very alive about doing it. And there's something kind of half dead about avoiding it, it seems.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the rest, the thing is that the rest is self-responsibility, right? It's like, okay, mm-hmm. What do I do with it? What do I do with it? But self-responsibility is connected to social responsibility.
I've really grown to respect Malika, and she's funny and she makes people laugh and she makes people smile, and I really like that she kind of questioned the authority and she tested people's limits, and I don't really know that many people who do that. Even though she's in a position where obviously she has no agency or power, and she somehow managed to be one of the most powerful people that I've ever met.
You're courageous women. You're way beyond anything. And don't forget that.
I feel like you saved me from, I don't know what, but you just saved me. You make me want to be a better person.
I think the biggest effect is in attitude, awareness, and in what does it mean to be present in life. So a lot of people, yes, this is what I should do, this is in me, this is, because we're always kind of complaining, right? For what I am and for what I am not. So this is, Grace Lee Boggs talks about that, right? And she talks about the idea of agency. And again, that's what it is. So so if you feel guilty because of your privilege, what do you want to do, right? Where does it come from? What can you do? How can you, basically, I'm always saying, put your privilege to the service of the situation. How about that? And figure out what it is. I have no idea what it is. But that's, that's a general idea. And that's what come out with. And I have quite a few students, a lot of them go into medical schools, which is really interesting. And into law schools also, right? And what it's good is that these are, you know, people with a lot of social power eventually, and they're going to be making money, and they're going to be having a really, really strong position in society. And it's good. That's good. I'm not, you know, it's not bad, but that's so to give them this dose of conscience, right? Social conscience. I think it's really good. In the other hand, for the inmates, it's also really good. It's like you are, you know, I'm always saying, I'm a little weird, but I'm always saying, when you do, if you break the law, that's actually very daring. There's a lot of courage there, right? And I'm not justifying it. I'm just talking about the potential, the individual, you know, the potential of the self, of the person, of the individual. So I always talk to them about that. You can turn it around. Use that. You have it. Use it in a different way. And what does that mean? What would that mean? And they go like, wow, I never thought of it that way. To me, it's true. I wouldn't dare. I'm daring in a different way, but not with, I'm a control freak. Patti, number one control freak, right? So basically, I wouldn't do drugs because I want to control my situation. And I want to really control my situation. So, you know, that's an interesting, what are we talking about, right? So I always reflect on that because I think it's important, because basically there is a stigma, there is a judgment behind, and I'm not justifying criminality. That's really important to me, but it is important to understand and to really see how judgment, it's always ingrained and we always just use it, and it's very destructive.
Right.
Very destructive.
Yeah.
And we have to be careful with that because we can do better.
Right. Yes. Yes.
You know? Because that's the way we look at each other. That's the way we relate to each other. That's the way we engage with each other. So that's really important. That's crucial. That we are on our toes, right? That I am willing to practice self-reflection and self-criticism on a regular basis. You know, the superficiality we are experiencing in our social relations, it's very hurtful, very hurtful. And it produces invisibility, it produces a lot of abandonment, social abandonment, and it hurts. It hurts.
So the war on drugs has really contributed to the otherness, to the shaming, to the stigma.
It's business. It's also a business.
It's a big business, yeah.
Business connected with the pharmaceutical industry and with the prison industrial complex. And it's connected with racism, and you know, it's just with classism and all the isms, all the possible isms.
Right.
And that should be said. And that's, you know, the idea of not belonging. You were talking about belong and how important that is. And I think telling my story, that's what the reason why people come at the end give in is because you feel that you belong for the moment. And we all know we're not, I'm always, this is an artificial platform. I'm always saying, this is an artificial platform. Let's see what we can do with it, right? It's not, we're not hokey, like, oh yeah, we're all together. No, we're not all together. No, we're not. We actually don't even, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this artificial platform. So what are we talking about? But it's incredible what we can achieve with the safety net of belonging, with the opportunity of belonging. Because, so, you know, the effects of displacement, and we just talk about it in such a sort of matter-of-fact way. And it's such a profound effect, social effect. And it's killing and destroying so many people right here and all around the world.
So, the thing that we keep coming back to over and over again is the present moment, being present in the moment and connecting with ourselves and with other people. It seems like that theme just keeps weaving back in. And then how we do that is through a platform like the program you have, like telling our stories, or it's a platform of whatever it might be. But that the real crux of it is connecting with ourselves and with other people.
Right. I think what it's important here is to own the self, to own the action and the inaction.
Right.
It's like, it's really important to, and not to, it's important to give continuity, to take responsibility for it, and then to see, okay, do I need to do something else? Is this okay? This is like, what is? How do I keep moving forward or sideways? Or I don't know, up, down, it doesn't matter. How do I keep moving? What is my responsibility? You know, where you need to own your presence. And be responsible with it. That's an active presence to me. That's what it really means to be present in life. It's not that, oh yeah, and I'm okay. I feel good, so I'm okay. No, because you know, I'm part of the significantly bigger world. So what is it? So with the students, they always, oh, Patty, I said the wrong thing. Oh, I don't want to say the wrong thing. Or I don't want to do that. How do you know what is right or wrong? You tell me. So I'm always saying, take it back to you. If you are worried about what you're thinking or not thinking of you, or you are concerned on how you come across, really ask yourself why. Because that's what the answer is, really.
It made me feel really awkward because Allie and I both aren't on financial aid. I felt like maybe I would be judged. And so then I definitely stopped trusting her after that.
I hated her. I absolutely hated her from the minute I saw her. She's like what you think the Dartmouth girl is gonna look like. She's beautiful, she's blonde, she has pretty teeth, she had her beautiful pearl earrings, and I felt like, how dare she wear those here?
And whatever questions you have, or whatever comments you make, because we have what I call these bad habits, right? Just, if you don't have the answer, that means that you don't know what it is. So don't elaborate on it. Don't assume things, right? Because that assuming, it's an open door to judgment. Because there's a reason why you, right? And stigma is there. It's all kind of woven in, right?
It is, yeah.
Together. So to me, it's the idea of how can I be as responsible and truthful as possible with my own insecurities and with my own doubts and with my own little mess, right? So yeah, bring it back to yourself and you will have an answer, or you will not have an answer. And if you don't have an answer, stop right there. And if you still have the questions, go and ask it. Ask the person that you might think. But don't. So because it's this relationship between students, Ivy League students and inmates, right? That's when they just elaborate. And versus go and ask. I said, no, what do you not trust? Why don't you dare to? And, you know, And it's a lot of insecurity, a lot about, I want to do the right thing. Again, it is the right thing.
Right.
So then that's a process that we always have in doing the program, in where you need to dare to trust. And
dare to trust, yeah, wow.
But it's the daring, because we don't trust. So trust, and then see what comes out. Again, to dare and risk, dare and risk with humanity, with people. So that's a challenge.
That's a way bigger challenge than daring.
Yeah.
In another way, yeah.
Right. So that's when, you know, when I have adversity, when I have discord, how do I do that? Right? How do I keep, so in a dehumanized platform, the challenge is how to humanize a dehumanized platform. Right? So if you have inmates and Ivy League, recovering addicts and Ivy League, there's a huge, thick wall in between that it's loaded with stigmas, all kinds of stigmas from both sides, right?
Both sides, yeah.
That's actually a very dehumanizing platform, right there.
Mm-hmm.
How do you, that's a challenge. You know, how do you face it? So that the beauty of those attitudes, just, it's like the right attitude to come together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what, you know, that's what makes it happen. It's not Patti. It's not Ivy. It's not, you know, it's really our attitude, the intention, the intentionality, the common intentionality. And that really comes from the desire to find something different. And that it's hopeful.
Yes.
You know, that's when I go like, bingo.
Yeah.
To me, the more I put myself in the middle, the more space I have for social criticism, like a true, right? And so the balance should be, and a lot of people just, and especially inmates or recovering addicts, it's like they beat them up.
Right.
And we teach them, we ask them to do that also, because that's the idea of acknowledgement. It's the idea of repentance. It's the idea of, and it's now that's not repentance. You can actually really write something really good and not being repentant at all, right? I mean,
yes, true. Yeah.
So it's an attitude. Again, it's an attitude. It should be. Because also we are part of the society. Things don't happen. Nobody chooses to be a criminal.
Right.
Nobody chooses to be an addict. Nobody. Those are social symptoms. Really, they are, and it's a social illness.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not to justify it, but we need to name it the way it is. Really,
mm-hmm.
To really get to the core, right, to the roots of the problem.
And that Paulo Freire quote, what was it again? Naming.
Oh, name the world.
Name the world.
The world. Name your world and name the world around you. Because it's all, I have two, Paulo Freire always says, nobody knows everything, nobody knows nothing.
The state gave me the choice to go live with my biological mother. I did my first line of cocaine with her, and her husband raped me.
The level of abuse in this, physical abuse in this country, it's outrageous. It's very connected with shamefulness and silence. That's why I strongly believe in education and in voice.
I work with two, innocent young girls. They don't need to know those kind of things that you want me to tell them about.
Do you think they don't know?
I don't think they've experienced it, and I don't think they need to.
That's the whole point. They need to experience.
Why? So they can be bitter?
So they can not be bitter
Exactly,
anymore.
exactly.
So they can actually have empathy for the people on the other side. I'm tired of people thinking, having that stigma that drug addicts isolate sheerly because they want to, not because you're depressed, or this has happened to you, or that's happened to you. I'm damaged. I didn't have what I needed growing up. I didn't have all of us are damaged. All of us.
But one question I'm asking everybody as we kind of come to the end is, if there are people listening who are addicted to something, who are suffering with some kind of addiction, who are really wanting to go into recovery, what do you feel are really important key elements of recovery, things that people could start to engage with right now?
I think they should listen to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They should really see where they are, so they can see where they are and how much in pain and how much in need of support they are, so they can build sufficient strength and energy to reach out, because ultimately what they need is to reach out and to just really sort of stretch the hand for help and not be alone, because I think the worst place in addiction is that lonely space they all have.
Mm-hmm.
So that hopelessness, that it's kind of part of addiction, how to transform it into something else, into maybe possible, like what Charlotte says. I'm hopeful, maybe a little. How can we start playing with the idea that maybe there is hope in that person, and to really think. I mean, I'm tough. I think it's interesting, because when you ask that question to me, it's always, what are we not doing that people can't reach out and can open themselves with their pain? So I want to say that there are people there that are willing to support people in need. But I'm not so sure that's really true, and many people don't have that. So I would say, be stubborn, listen to yourself, hold on to your pain, take care of your pain, walk with your pain, because you're going to walk forever with it. We need to learn how to walk with it and just take care of it and reach out.
It's beautiful.
The most meaningful part really had nothing to do with the show. I think it had to do more with being there for each other. A lot of people in the world that wouldn't do the things that Patti has done for us. And the things that we got to know about ourselves, and that she forced us to know about ourselves and forced us to express, that was more important to me than the rest of it.
Thank you. Thank you, Patti, for being on the summit. It's really an important voice to have included, and I really respect your work and your approach. And people can find out about you through your website.
Tellingmystory.org. Altogether, tellingmystory.org.
And the movie, It's Criminal, is about your program and the women that have gone through that program.
The link is, it is criminal. I think the movie is very timely right now. So I am just asking people spread the word.
And I would really encourage people to find a way to see it. It's at some film festivals, people can contact you and invite you to come, and yeah.
Exactly, yeah, if they could, and to higher educational institutions.
Right.
Yeah, and also, high schools and prisons, and I mean, it's so many levels.
It's a powerful movie. Yeah, and it really captures a lot of what we've been talking about in terms of connection and courage and all of the different elements of being present and working through things in an organic way, and kind of that energy and juiciness of that. And yeah, it's a wonderful movie.
We need to dare to try. We need to dare to, to just go for something. We don't even know what it is. You see, that's. I think that's where the possibility is.
Right.
You don't need to know what it is. You really don't. And the moment that you want to know what it is, you're paralyzed.
Right.
Because you don't know what it's going to be. You really don't have the answer. So it's the acceptance of that life is a wonder. It's a wonder. It really is. And then there is so much possibility. There is so much openness and curiosity and engagement, right?
Right.
So that's why it comes out to attitude. So it's all
right. It all comes back. And that's a radical approach.
I know it really is. And I had no idea that it was radical, because I'm not defining things.
Right.
But it is very radical. Yeah. And that's why people have problems with it at first. And then and they go, it's, so that's hopeful, right? That's because it's all about vulnerability and wonder, and that's a great place to be at.
Go to KillibyCenter.com, Radical Recovery Summit, to see the full schedule of speakers and to register to watch these free online September 23rd and 24th in the Radical Recovery Summit 2017.